London Eye confirm no injuries after Storm Henk issue. Earlier we reported David Knock's remarkable experience on one of the UK's famous landmarks, the London Eye. David, from Bournemouth, was on a family trip and he told BBC Radio Solent part of the London Eye concealed capsule that he was in blue open. In response, a spokesperson for the lastminute.com London Eye has confirmed a decision was taken to close the landmark due to the adverse weather conditions brought on by Storm Henk. The safety of our guests and staff is our #1 priority, and we have multiple safety procedures in place on the pods, the spokesman said. Following an isolated technical issue, our expert technical team immediately ensured that guests safely disembarked and conducted further rigorous checks before reopening the attraction that evening. We can confirm that no parts of the pod detached from the main structure and that no guests were injured. Worcestershire Cricket Ground flooded again. Not for the first time, Worcestershire County Cricket Club was flooded, and we have seen some spectacular photos of their new road ground in Worcester this morning. A short distance away, you can see the flooding on Hilton Road too. Watch 24 hours of Storm Henk destruction across UK. Storm Henk has uprooted trees, blown roofs off buildings, disrupted travel and caused serious flooding across large parts of England and Wales. See the scale of the storm's impact in the video above. Caravan owner looking for hotel as flood hits Northampton. As we've just reported, people are being evacuated from the Billing Aquadrome near Northampton. One of the evacuees, Robert Britchford, tells us this is the second time in 3 years the area around the River Nene has flooded. He estimates around 2,000 people have been evacuated. I thought I would try and wait it out, because I thought it would be nice today, but no, the evacuation notice went out at 14:30 Greenwich Mean Time yesterday, and that was it, Robert says. I'm a bit anxious. We felt it was coming, but we hoped it wouldn't. Now we have to find hotels. They won't let us back on until this is all sorted, so it could be a month before we come back on. There are no sandbags or anything. I've got a bit of decking around mine, and that's it, so if the water goes over door level, that's my caravan gone, and I can't afford a new one. Holiday Park residents evacuated as River Nene waters rise. Residents at a holiday park near Northampton have been evacuated from houseboats and caravans due to rising waters on the River Nene. Emergency services are at the scene, with residents in houseboats being taken to the shore in boats. Eddie Hancock, who lives around 2 miles away from Billing Aquadrome, said the water levels were scary and he had never seen them so high in around 30 years of living in the area. Our house is pretty much okay as we're further over, we're up a hill, but it's drastic. I have never, ever seen emergency services over there, Getty tells the PA Media News Agency. It's worrying. I feel sorry for the poor people on Billing Aquadrome. It's mad, I wouldn't want to be over there. It has never, ever been this bad. Earlier there was a severe flood warning in the area, meaning a danger to life, which has been downgraded to a flood warning, meaning flooding is expected. Why is the flooding so intense? The reason why so many flooding warnings are in force is down to how widespread and heavy the rain has been over the last few days. For parts of Wales and southwest England there has been close to around 80 millimeters of rain, but widely we've seen around 30 to 40 millimeters of rain falling on saturated ground across England and Wales. For eastern England this means we've had around half of January's average rain in only the first 2 days of the month. In Cranwell, Lincolnshire we've had nearly the whole month of rain, with 41 millimeters since January 1st compared to the average 48 millimeters. It's not just the UK that's suffering. While Storm Henk has largely left the UK, it is still continuing across northern Europe. These photos are from the northwest Dutch city of Hoorn, where Henk has already hit hard. I was on the London Eye when Storm Henk blew a hatch off. Let's bring you a remarkable story from yesterday. David Knock was with his family visiting the London Eye when a hatch on their pod ripped open. David, from Bournemouth, spoke to BBC Radio Solent about his encounter with Storm Henk. We were aware of the storm when we were walking around London. It didn't feel that windy, he says. As we were queuing up there were a few gusts across the Thames. We got on, started to move, and it was stop-starting on the way up. As we got to the 12 o'clock top it stopped. The wind really started to howl. The wind was so strong it actually ripped an access hatch off the top of the pod we were in. You can imagine, it got very noisy and the wind was blowing and it was slightly terrifying. David says the hatch was still attached to the roof of the pod and he pushed the emergency button to let staff know. The BBC has contacted the London Eye's operators for comment. Latest updates as thousands of homes remain without power. Let's bring you up to date with the latest details as we continue our live coverage of Storm Henk's aftermath. A man in his 50s died in Gloucestershire on Tuesday after a tree fell on the car he was driving, police say. More than 300 flood warnings remain in place across England and Wales. Although 125,000 homes have had power restored following yesterday's intensive winds, the Energy Networks Association says 10,000 homes remain without electricity mainly in southeast England. Transport disruption continues with the main disruption existing on the Thameslink, Southern, Greater Northern and Gatwick Express lines until 12 o'clock Greenwich Mean Time. Greater Anglia says some train services are running again after overhead wires were repaired. But South Western Railway and Great Western Railway all say people should check before travelling. Man killed by falling tree was from Bath area, police say. Some more details from Gloucestershire Constabulary who say the man who died yesterday after a tree fell on his car had been driving on Tetbury Road near Kemble. Police say officers were called at 15:15 Greenwich Mean Time to reports of a large fallen tree. Emergency services, including an air ambulance, attended the location which is between Tetbury and Cirencester, police said in a statement. Despite the efforts of those at the scene, a man aged in his 50s and from the Bath area died. His next of kin and the coroner have been informed. The road remains closed as recovery and investigation work continues and motorists are asked to find alternative routes. How Henk and other UK storms get their names. The UK Met Office and Irish Service Met Éireann launched their first Name Our Storms campaign in 2015. They followed the example of the US, which has been naming tropical storms in the 1950s. The idea was to make it easier for people to engage with weather forecasts, as it was thought naming storms made them more relatable and easier to discuss and compare over time. In the UK, the Met Office names any storm when it has the potential to cause disruption or damage which could result in an amber or red warning. Most years, they draw the names from a short list of favorites submitted by the public, but for the 2023-24 season, the Met Office has slightly changed its methods and has named a number of storms after prominent scientists, meteorologists and, in its words, others who work to keep people safe in times of severe weather. Warwickshire Animal Sanctuary moving goats to drier ground. The Rescue Ranch Animal Sanctuary in Warwickshire is trying to move its goats to drier ground after Storm Henk bogged down their field. Ideally, it says, it would like to build them a new shelter, but that could cost about £2,000, and for a small non-profit organization they say that's a lot of money. The sanctuary says the lower fields are inaccessible to tractors at the moment because it is too boggy, so volunteers are having to roll bales of hay down the hill to the goats themselves. Disruption on rail routes to last until midday. Earlier we mentioned disruption on Gatwick Express, Great Northern, Southern, Thameslink was due to last until 10 o'clock, we've now had an update to say the disruption has been pushed back until midday. Agavia Thameslink Railway (GTR) spokesman says the firm, which oversees all of the above four operators, is working with Network Rail. We have now cleared most lines of fallen trees and other debris, and we continue to work hard to resume a normal service. However, most routes will continue to be disrupted until around midday as we recover the timetable, and we advise anyone whose journey has been delayed by 15 minutes or more to claim delay repay via our websites. Tickets for travel yesterday are valid today, GTR adds. You do perhaps get the impression, and of course it is easy to say this in hindsight, Storm Henk caught many on the hop and its speed and impact was much worse than expected. Forecasts on its severity changed quite quickly through the day. Thousands of stranded passengers on Tuesday having to book their own taxis showed something wasn't right. Transport organizations usually review any large-scale incident, and I'm sure how they reacted will now be looked at. They have a very difficult job balancing between being too cautious and too bullish. Often they are criticized whatever they do. More broadly, with climate change making severe weather more common, this is something we will all have to get used to.